listening to Kevin and the Spleen.
No one's gonna ever love me.
1098.5 Radio QWX for quick.
Bussin', no cap.
No cap.
Really smack you in the ass with flavor. There you go. This show is about depression, anxiety, PTSD, and chronic illness.
We going quick. We're trying to keep you on the path to the ride home on the evening time.
It's a fucking zoo.
Make it Quicks with the Quicks Radio.
White lives do not matter.
Hey everybody, this is Spencer Crittenden, the founder and CFO of Spleen Enterprises. You may know us from our work on Spleen, the app, the only app that gives you 24-hour access to the Spleen's phone. But today I am here to talk to you about something a bit more serious, and that is the podcast. You may know it as That Happens, the umbrella corp that owns Kevin and the Spleen, as well as the Colostomy Bag and other assorted holdings. I wish I was here on better circumstances, but you know, sometimes the big boss got to put his big pants on, come downstairs, and spank some bottoms, lecture some children. So. Kevin has told me that he has not the technical capacity to show images. So you're just going to have to imagine in your mind a web page full of volumetrics for the website for That Happens, the podcast, and picture, if you will, a timeline that starts at the beginning of an episode and goes towards the end of the episode. Now, imagine within the first minute or so of the runtime of that podcast, the percentage of viewers dips by about 30%. That's a problem. That's just a serious problem for the ongoing sustainability of our ad model and the show in the long term. So I don't know what that is. I've brought Kevin in to try and explain it. He's failed to do so to my satisfaction. Although I'm sure he would, Kevin, you can speak for yourself. Even I'm sure you would say that you did explain it on some level.
I mean, an explanation was given.
An explanation was given.
How valid you want to take it is entirely your choice. But yes, I gave an explanation.
Right, an explanation was given. It was all Greek to me. And now continue to imagine this chart. And, you could imagine, okay, after this 30% drop or so, there's a much more mild curve of drop-off. But the end of the podcast, maybe the last third, there's another like 10, 20% drop. And then towards the end of the podcast, the last 3 minutes or so, there's a there's a drop that goes to what? To like 30% to 40% or something?
Yeah, that sounds about right. And
that is, again, posing problems, and I'm not sure why. Ultimately, a lot of you guys have communicated to us that you didn't know the podcast was still happening, which is ironic given the title. That you haven't been getting notifications for the podcast, and we've been running around behind the scenes talking to the major players, your Spotify's, your whatever. And they've given us answers from, what are you talking about? That's not happening, to that shouldn't be happening, to is it possible you're doing something wrong, to it's possible that the problem could be that you don't get more, you have a less than 50% retention rate on listenership to your podcasts. Now, just between you and me, folks, I don't think that's what the problem is. I think they're making excuses. I think they've done something that they either are not aware of or can't bear to admit publicly. But we can't give them an excuse to write us off, correct? And so, and that may be the case that it's their meddling and incompetence that has led the chart. The chart very well could be completely fabricated. We could have 120% listenership all the way to the end. There's no way of for me to know that. I have to go with numbers I've been given, folks. But another thing that occurred to me is maybe one of the reasons we don't get notifications is because the irregular nature of the podcast release, which is supposed to be a weekly podcast, but for various, and when I say various, I mean wide-ranging reasons. Like, there are so many reasons why the podcast release has become irregular. None of them my fault, I assure you. I'm sure we could speak at length to whose fault they are. And regarding those, I think we can also safely say an explanation was given. But it's no excuse. It doesn't matter if you guys have lives, medical health problems, etc. This is the most important thing that happens. That's why it's called That Happens. So we need to figure that out. You guys need to listen harder. We need to get these notifications back and go to the moon, because otherwise I just don't know that it can continue. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what to talk about. That's a whole separate issue. That's an issue we had for a while, and then we stopped having, and now it's returned. It really makes you think. But that's enough for me. As always, download the Spleen app, refill your Spleen gems if you want to get private access to Spleen's private parts in the app. And check us out in the App Store, SPLN, or on Twitter at SPLN NAZIS capital R OK with me. So that's where you can find us. And yeah, this has been Spencer giving a full-hearted salute, throwing my heart into the audience. We now return to your regularly scheduled program. Hey, Kevin, it's Kevin and the Spleen. How we doing tonight? How you doing? What are we up to, Kevin? Guess, Kevin, guess what's going on with my body.
Boy, I don't know. Do you have an infection of some kind?
An infection could be causing it, but I would not say that's the primary way that we refer to that. No. Maybe half points for that. That's generous, Kevin.
Are you having an allergic reaction to something?
Same answer. I guess now you've gotten full points for an answer that's not really right at all. By answering twice wrong. I got ED, Kevin. My E is D.
Okay. Do you want to spell that out for me to make sure we're on the same page?
IED.
Improvised explosive device?
Yeah. Well, no, the last word is dick. Improvised explosive dick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is this part of the improv class you were taking?
I wish it was, Kevin. That class, like so other, the door to that class, like so many doors in my life, has been shut in my face. Indefinitely. But now I'm starting to think I might be able to use this IED to blow the hinges off that thing. Get back in there. Do some more heralds.
We need some clarification on exactly what it is we're talking about here.
I got a case of the old dick bomb.
Okay. I feel like we're talking more and more, and I have less idea what you're talking about.
You're a chlamydia. Well, this is
Yeah.
bomidia.
Maybe. Okay.
There's a large fuse, a lit fuse on my dick, Kevin.
That sounds painful.
Well, the fuse doesn't have nerve endings.
Well, okay, I just felt
But
like
my pants have burn holes all over them. What were you saying?
I just like I'm picturing like a sparkler, and
Yeah.
it raining all over the place with hot embers, and that sounds painful.
Well, sparklers are a lot of fun. They change. They're fun colors. I would say the light of a sparkler is a lot smaller. It's a small kind of point of fire. This is thick fire. We're talking thicker than the fuse. It's kind of like a flare. You ever seen like a flare, like on the street,
Yes.
like when a cop breaks open a flare? It's like that. So yeah, no, it is painful. Yes, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, it's very painful. The Japanese, they hold their sparklers upside down. You see a lot of anime the Japanese anime characters. They're holding a sparkler, so the sparkle is down, and you see that's a safety thing because it's safer for the sparkler to be below the hand. But of course, I think most Americans, they hold them, I guess you would say, right side up. It doesn't seem dangerous, You wouldn't really be like, oh no, what if a spark lands on my hand or some such, right?
That's true. Although I have been burned by like a piece of the sparkler ash like falling onto my hand.
Hey, well, there you go. Maybe you gotta use the Japanese method.
There may be some sense to that, but I feel like it's just not as much fun that way.
I would say I hold a sparkler kind of at an angle forward, right? And I think in that way, if it's fallen, it's not fallen on me. And I would say another fun thing about sparklers is you kind of wave them around, right? You can kind of draw in the sky and stuff. But in anime, they just kind of crouch near the ground, holding the sparkler vertically downwards. And they're like, wow, this fucking kicks ass. And it's like, okay, buddy. I mean, maybe you should learn a lesson or two from the Americans about how to use non-improvised explosives, prepared explosive charges,
I feel like we're I don't know, sparkler shaming the Japanese here, but that just seems like less fun.
It is. It's undeniably less fun. Those fuckers, they don't know how to enjoy fireworks. You need to light a ground bloom flower, huck it at your neighbor. That's what fireworks are all about. Anyway, back to my dick. The thing is, the wick, it gets shorter and shorter, like a sparkler, Kevin. And let's just say this thing is not hanging downwards Japanese style. It is up and in my business. I am suffering greatly. And that's not the worst part. The worst part is you got to imagine something is going to happen, right? Once it gets to the end. Because this is a wick. It's not a flare. It's not a sparkler. It's like a fuse, right? So what's the fuse trying to ignite here?
I mean, it sounds like a powder keg of spleen passion.
Passion, huh?
Yeah.
We should be so lucky. What the world needs now is more passion. What else is new? What do you got going on, Kevin?
There's not much going on here. It's been super, super hot. I'm tired of the heat and the humidity and everything. That's been about it, Mr. Spleen. Yeah, that's been my week, is just dealing with the heat and air conditioning not working and all kinds of fun.
My desk is on fire.
Okay, so it's a little hotter where you are than I am.
No, it's just the fuse.
Oh, the fuse. Okay.
I mean, it's not cold here, but I wouldn't say it's super hot. It's been hot but it's kind of up and down a little bit. It's manageable. You know that Arkansas weather coming to you from Arkansas, folks. Haha. Big reveal.
I thought you were in Montana last time we talked.
Oh no, I was in the ocean. Wait.
Oh,
Yeah, I think I was in Montana, then the ocean, in a box. I think it was in a fridge. Yeah, no, it was a fridge. And then I don't know what. Well, then I was trying to get a hold of you, and you weren't around. I was doing the show as normal. I don't think it was going anywhere. And I got to be honest, this kills my voice.
I bet.
My voice kills my voice.
Do you have any updates on your med bed? I know we're all waiting to hear about that.
Oh, yeah, it got delivered to the wrong address. You ever get like something and then they take a picture of it and they say like, "Oh, it's been delivered," and you're like, "That's nowhere near me," you know?
Yes.
Yeah, it was like that. All I know is that it was snowy.
Okay.
And there wasn't any, like, I didn't even see any buildings. I just saw snow. And like, it was like a bunny.
Well, that's unfortunate. It sounds like they just dumped your med bed off in the tundra somewhere.
I mean, we love snow bunnies, but this is like, and we love pictures of snow bunnies, Kevin. But this is beyond the pale. But I don't know if I'd say this is a good thing, but a mitigating factor, let's say, is that the picture of the bed that was in the snow, it was just like a big sack, like a burlap sack. And it said Puto on it. There's a burlap sack that said Puto. And I don't think that's what a med bed is. If it is, I've overpaid.
It sounds like you need to make some phone calls.
Sounds like you need to make some phone calls.
Well, I was going to offer, if you want to like act as your representative here and see if I can't find out where your med bed went.
We got to get a hold of the CEO.
Okay.
My dick is on fire. He's got to be able to do something about that.
Is that why you want the med bed so badly?
I mean, no, but there's so many at this point. You got to find a reason not to get a med bed, you know, when you're in my position. But, you know, they're live streaming my junk. It's on fire.
Who's
that's some
live
of
streaming?
his businesses. The app.
Who's live? The app. Okay.
That's like, and then, you know, I checked out that app. It's not even monetized. I don't know. You're supposed to be able to buy gems. You just click the button and you get free gems. So like, I don't know what the incentive is. I don't know why we're doing this. It's got to cost hosting money, you know, like we got to be losing money hand over fist. And that's not even to mention the app development. So
well, you
like,
got to spend money to make money.
I got to burn my dick to the ground to get free gems, apparently. That's how it seems to work.
Yeah. Well, you know, every game has got to have a different monetization scheme, and I think you've hit on a unique one here.
Yeah. You want to know a unique monetization scheme I've been cooking up?
What's that?
Is I put my dick wick on a lock and melts right through. And I'm sure there's like, you know, some high scale thievery I could be committing.
Is this like thermite you're talking about?
I mean, yeah, if that's how it feels, yes. All I know is that I rested it on a safe. I've been staying in hotels. I rested it on a hotel safe, melted right through that thing. So it burned my wallet. I put my wallet in there.
You know, I keep going back and forth in between how much of this is metaphorical burning and how much of this is literal burning.
Yeah.
And I still don't know, and I'm happy that way.
Something I found is that literal burning is incredibly metaphorical. You can find all sorts of metaphors looking at a fire, you know? My life. my future, all of my relationships, all burning up.
Well, we got to put that fire out.
Yeah. We got to get to the snow. That might be able to put it out, without the med bed, which I don't think is out there.
Okay. Well, maybe we can go on the road and do like a show from Alaska or something. Find you some snow, put that fire out, and rent out a comedy club in Anchorage and let the Spleen get 10 minutes on stage and see how that goes.
I gotta be real with you, my man. Been looking at these numbers. I don't know that we could get a show. I don't know if we get asses in seats.
I'm sure we have people in Alaska that listen to the show. They should email us and let us know if they want us to come there.
Email us. thathappenspod@gmail.com. Our CFO will see it.
Tell us where you want us to come.
Yeah. You know what CFO stands for?
What's that?
Chief Fuckboy on Board. He told me that.
He did.
I was in the bathroom trying to pee. It evaporates, Kevin. It instantly evaporates. It vaporizes into a painful caustic steam.
That still sounds pretty convenient, though. You don't need to worry about going to the bathroom then. You can just go.
Yeah, that's true. You don't have to worry about that. You have to worry about so many other things. My pants are Teflon. You can't even wash it. I mean, you can. Not a washing machine. In a dishwasher.
I feel like that would be pretty stain resistant, though.
Yeah. That's true. It gets soap spots, though. Anyway, I was in the bathroom. He sidles up to me and tells me that he's like, you know what CFO means? I'm like, what? And he's like, sorry. He's like, Chief Fuckboy on Board. Now that's gotta be sexual harassment, right?
It sounds like it. That's a really good impression you do of him too.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's how I got my start on Morning Zoo Radio. All my impressions of various C-suite executives.
Okay, that's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I think you might have a sexual harassment case there, but you need to do it cautiously because I bailed you out of some trouble in the past, so you might want to approach this cautiously.
Yeah, and lawyers don't take my calls anymore.
No, you got to pay them after you hire them is the thing.
Well, you got me there. The only thing I have is loose change, like this penny. Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, Spencer, the other Spencer, not the whole different guy. That's right. I'm 3 people, not 2. What's up, Kevin?
I never really know what to expect talking to the Spleen, but it's always fun when I get to.
Yeah, I've been seeing him. He's pretty jumpy lately. He's like darting quickly in and out of areas. And he smells like fire these days, kind of like burning polyester. So yeah, he's got something going on down there. I would keep your distance. Okay, fair enough. That felt like a long one, right? What is that? I guess that was because there's the first part and then the second part. Oh boy. Man. I don't know what to talk about. I mean, I have some ideas of what to talk about, but I'm losing my mojo. I think I mentioned that earlier, but we had a problem where it was hard to know what to talk about. And I feel like I largely overcame that. And now I think it's back. We're coming up on the 200th episode. If you want to email us anything that you want to see, I don't know that we'll do them. But if you want to email us about the 200 episodes, I don't know. But it is like, man, how much longer can this go it really does feel like the same issue we were having before, where it's like the show is nothing. How long can we keep doing nothing? And for whose benefit? If no one even listens to it, if people turn off after the first like second of the show, how does that work? That's like, I wish I understood how those metrics work, because
honestly, what I believe that is people who have Spotify set on shuffle, and it's randomly picking us, and the person's like, no, I don't want to listen to that right now. And they're hitting next, because what it will do if you have it set right is mix in podcasts and music and all kinds of things all together on one thing. And if you're not in the mood to listen to us talk at that exact moment, that counts as starting a play and then not listening any further within the first 30 seconds.
If you have it set right, it shuffles podcasts into music.
You can have Spotify do that, yes. And also, too, you can just have all of your podcasts set to shuffle. And if they're like, no, I don't want to hear this one right now, and they skip it, they can still come back to it later, and that's a whole separate play. Spotify, they're trying to extract advertising numbers from a very unreliable medium. We've talked about this before, I think, where it's really impossible to tell who's listening to what, and are they skipping the ads, or listening to the ads, or whatever. And Spotify only has visibility into what people on their own app are doing. And then they extrapolate that to the 96% of the people who are listening on other apps as though it was the same behavior. So I don't know if people listening care about this, but that's what I think is going on, is that we're showing up either in a shuffle or whatever, and people are clicking next because they're not wanting it right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure that just plays into my biases, but that rings true to me in the sense that something I know about these giant streaming companies is that they have these wonky things, and then they use that to inform how they do it. And they're like, in our data, it says this, and our data is so powerful. And it's like, I agree that the data is powerful, but I think when you like bend over backwards, contorting the data into nonsense numbers, like kind of like, you remember Twitter had like unregretted user minutes. Like when you start like taking data and turning it into that, like, I don't think it remains useful. I think it becomes this like aberration, like, that like you find more easy to like chase and maximize, but I don't know that actually leads to like the kind of platform health that you'd want, I don't know. Like the thing I always go back to is Amazon. If you watch a new Amazon original, the way they track your watch data is they want you to get through entire episodes without pausing. So that means if you have to go to the bathroom in the middle of the episode and you pause it and go to the bathroom, then come back and unpause it and finish the episode, it counts that as not a finished episode, which is like, I don't understand how a rational person can like be like, we have all this data at our fingertips. We can collect infinite forms and shapes of data. And what we're going to focus on is punishing shows for having people go to the bathroom and pause for a short amount of time and then come back. Like, I don't know. And maybe that's something that that's like a misinformation. Maybe it's not like actually what happens, but
no,
I don't know.
I know that helping somebody who got a film on Netflix gave the feedback to them that people were adjusting the volume too frequently while watching his film, and that was a negative, and that was going to cause it to appear less often because that meant that it was likely bad audio mixing.
Mm-hmm.
Which seems crazy.
Yeah.
That they're extrapolating a problem from a very, very small data set.
That's what I mean. It's like, I mean, maybe they're not saying like, and then also they turned off the episode after the third time or the movie after the third time they adjusted the audio. Maybe they see that and they're not saying it. But generally speaking, if they're watching the episode and just or watching the thing and just messing with the volume, there's nothing wrong with that. They're using the television. I mean, I think once you hit a certain like critical mass of numbers of people doing that, it's probably like it's not like circumstance, but you could believe if someone was watching it at night, they might just turn the volume down, because it's nighttime, and then now this part's too quiet, and so I'm going to turn it up a little bit, but it's like I turned it down not because of the mixing, but because it was nighttime and I don't want to be super loud or something, like there's like a million, I don't know, whatever, who cares? Everything sucks.
No, and like in our case too, it's something like less than 10% of the people that listen to this show are listening to it on the Spotify app. But that's the only place where Spotify gets any feedback whatsoever. Like if you the kind of dirty secret about podcasts is like if you're listening to this right now on Apple Podcasts, you may have heard ads play before we started playing, but they have no idea. Spotify, which runs our advertising, cannot tell if you're using the Apple Podcast app or any other app other than the Spotify app, whether you listen to those ads or you skipped over them. The only place they can tell that is if you're using the Spotify app. So they say, well, if Spotify users, 30% of them are skipping the ads, we're going to extrapolate that out to the other, 2,000% that we don't see. And
maybe we'll call skipping ads turning off the podcast and not finishing it.
Right. They're taking just minuscule amounts of data, trying to say that it's going to be equal everywhere else, but it's almost definitely not. And then using that to make all kinds of crazy decisions. And that's how people complain about algorithms on apps punishing them or the wrong person getting boosted and things like that. It's because just, luck of the dice, it decided to like what you were doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I was hit with this like sad revelation, which is, just me being pathetic or something. But like, I think when I'm not really thinking about it, I'm like, this podcast is like Harmontown. And then when I start to think about it, it's like, it's so nothing like Harmontown. It's nowhere near as funny or interesting in any sense. There's like arguably nothing good about it. We're just like wasting time. We're wasting everybody's time. It doesn't have like the same relationship with the audience that Harmontown does. It's like, it's just so different. And that was like really bumming me out. It's like, I just don't know how to do something. Obviously it's hard to even compare just because of format wise, like we're not on a stage with improvisers. But then I feel like when we did the anime thing, which I guess we're still doing, but that slowed down a lot. But when we did the anime thing, I feel like a lot of people were not into that. They were like, well, I don't really like anime that much, which is totally fine. But it's like, ugh. So it feels hard to even pivot, to like something else because but I don't know. I have this belief where the audience is like bad, not this audience, but audiences in general are bad at knowing what they want. They can like explain what they want, but like if they were to explain what they want and then you gave it to them, they wouldn't necessarily like it, even though they like explain that that's what they want. And similarly, if they explained something they really didn't want and you gave that to them, it could potentially be like something they'd really enjoy. They just like don't have that connection to it, when they're kind of theorizing and kind of explaining it out loud. But I don't know. I'm having a real crisis. Hollywood's dying. Everything's getting moving out of Hollywood because of tax breaks and stuff. I'm looking for work again. My job that I really like, it often just gives me 2 hours a day or two days a week rather. And so when they were talking to me about the job when I got hired, they were like, it's usually 4 days a week. It's as close to 8 hours as possible every shift. And sometimes it might be 3 days a week. But now it's like it's 2 or 3 days a week. And the shifts are like 6 to 7 hours, which is like, I just can't I can't like pay bills off of that. So I really like the job, but it's not enough hours to pay my bills. So I'm looking for more work. And I don't know. I don't think this podcast is like a huge detriment to finding work, but like in my head, I'm usually thinking like, well, I don't want to work on Sundays because of the podcast. And also just like mentally, I feel like this is more just like a worry or something, but I feel like I wonder if this is just taking mental real estate that could be used some other way. I'm sure I just wouldn't do anything if I wasn't doing the podcast. It's not like it's like now I'm gonna fucking start knitting or something, but I don't know. It's not good, folks. It's not good. Now my nose is itchy. That has to be related to the podcast too, I think.
No, I feel the same way too. Like I'm comparing myself to like Harmontown, where everybody on stage was an improviser, a comedian, a good speaker, and I'm whatever the opposite of that is. And there's times where I'm like, yeah, yes. No, there's times where I felt like, hey, I should not be doing this. This is bad. Like, when I'm editing the episodes after each week, sometimes I'm listening to it. I'm like, God, I want to cut this, but I can't start just cutting stuff randomly because I didn't like it, you know. But then I go and I look at the comments and they're 99% positive about the show. I look at the metrics and the number of listeners goes up almost every week.
Where are you? Sorry, continue.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know if I'm just being too harsh or if I'm just like, are we making a podcast that we wouldn't listen to, but other people would like? And if so, is that still okay?
I listen to it. I listen to every episode.
Okay. See, I have trouble listening to myself at all. I'll listen to the ones I'm not in and be like, yeah, this is awesome. But then I listen to the ones I'm in and I'm just like, skip. And I don't enjoy it. But I think that's just, probably an equal mix of me being bad at this and me just not, having that kind of like common thing you don't want to hear yourself.
Yeah, I think most podcasters hate to listen to their own podcast, but I don't know. I mean, with Harmontown and stuff, I would listen to it to like take notes kind of for D&D, so like I just always have listened to it. Also, I was a fan of Harmontown before I started being on it, so that's a weird shift too. Anyway.
You see, I had the thing where as soon as I got involved with the show, the number of episodes I listened to went down.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why. And it was even ones that like I wasn't, touching in any way other than just uploading the file when it was finished. I still was skipping some of those. And I don't know, I don't know. I had this thing where if I'm involved with it, I can't really just like mentally separate myself enough to enjoy it as something of its own. I'm just spotting all the mistakes and things that I wish were different and, that kind of thing.
You're spotting. Kevin's on his period. See, that's the kind of classic humor you won't find on Harmontown. But yeah, I don't know. We gotta figure something out. It's just like I want to do Hollywood stuff, but I don't really have people that I collaborate with consistently or that like I can feel super comfortable collaborating with, I mean, like, we have like some of the Channel 101 people I'm friends with. We have Abed on the podcast. Like, how that goes. Like, I wish, I don't know. I need to focus on money and a job, I think, but I might need to try to go to improv classes again because maybe I can meet people there. But I don't know. The last improv class that I was at, it just like, it kind of felt the same way. There's people that were really young that were like, I don't know. They just felt like college freshmen. And then there were people that were like dads who were like, oh, I just need something to do. Like, I'm not looking to like join an improv team. I just thought I could be a gas to take some improv classes, but maybe that's just, that's one role. Maybe I got to roll again. I don't know. I did not expect to talk about this much. I'll tell you that much. Do you have any more thoughts on this topic before I pivot?
Pivot away.
All right. Well, Kevin sent me a bunch of drinks. This is one that I'm sure we've already tried. It's Coca-Cola Ultimate, which I think is, well, it says it's XP flavored. I think it's the League of Legends integration. I'm pretty sure this one's banana flavored. So I just want to drink it. So I'm calling it out. Today's beverage, banana flavored, I think, if I remember. It's weird to cycle back between sugar-free or like sugar-free soda and sugared soda, because I feel like it makes the sugared soda taste less sweet somehow. I guess like technically sweeteners are more sweet than sugar. So I don't know, but I'm getting a little like nose of banana, but mostly it just kind of tastes like a slightly creamier Coke. I don't know. But so we didn't do a show last week. Before that, I think we did the anime. What did we do before that? Before that was like, what was that?
Was that I'm looking it episode?
Up. It probably was. Knowing me. Jury duty halftime show. Right. Okay. So that was when I was doing jury duty. So I couldn't talk about the court case. Now the court case is over and I could talk about it. But I don't know. I guess I'll just talk about it. Whatever. Tell me if I'm a bad person. So the court case was, there was a homeless guy accused of threatening a guy with a knife. And so like the charges were like unlawful possession of a knife in public, brandishing a knife, assault with deadly weapon, and intent to assault with deadly weapon, something like that. And I think there was maybe 6 charges total. But the way the story was this guy had this really nice new BMW, and he maybe gets too close to a homeless guy when he's like parking on the street, and he calls the cops saying, this guy pulled a knife on me. The cops show up. They find a knife under 2 layers of cardboard, which is the thing that the homeless guy kept saying, under 2 layers of cardboard. And I don't know. It's just weird because, like, first of all, the homeless guy wasn't going to testify on the stand, but then at the end, he ended up being called as a surprise witness. He was going to plead the fifth the whole time. And I think it ended up being really bad for his case that he testified. Like, I think that made people who were like, I don't know what to believe, to they started being like, oh, I think this guy's guilty. But the way the guy told it is he threatened to burn his car. And so I don't know. To me, I was like, did this guy actually like and there's another thing where the defense's story said that the guy with the car, he was peeing in public, and that like preceded the altercation between him and the homeless guy. And the guy, the witness who was the victim, the quote unquote victim or whatever, he like denied peeing. But the whole timeline of the incident to me doesn't make a lot of sense, because basically it's like he gets out of his car, 2 or 3 minutes pass, and then some sort of exchange takes place that terminates in presumably a knife showing up. And he can't really account for what the victim can't really account for what happened. But he denies peeing. And then later they asked him again if he peed. And then he says, I don't remember. And so like, I'm like, was this guy like drunk driving? Because who's like peeing on the car, like in the sidewalk? And it was in a relatively public place. It wasn't like he was behind a thing. He was alleged to have been, and this is a victim who's not on trial, but he was alleged to have been peeing on a bike rack, which is like it's like, I don't even think a normal person like pee up against a wall or something, but peeing on a bike rack, like, I don't know. And so to me, like the guy's story didn't make a ton of sense. And so I'm starting to think, okay, what if this guy is drunk driving? He pulls into this parking spot. he's peeing. The homeless guy starts yelling at him. The homeless guy's like, I'm going to burn your car. The drunk guy's like, I don't want to repark my car. I don't want to leave my car because this guy might burn it. So I'm going to call the cops and say this guy has a knife and is threatening me with a knife, you know? And I don't think the defense really like created that story. But to me, like, it was like, you know, obviously if the guy actually did all the stuff that he was accused of doing, the story is really straightforward. It's like, it just basically happened the way he said. But it just felt to me like very clearly at almost all stages of this, it could have gone down this other road where this guy, you know, was peeing like in front of a homeless guy. They had like some sort of fight. The guy threatens to burn his car. And then he's like, you know what? I'm going to get this guy arrested. You know, I'm going to just call the cops. Whether or not there is a knife, I don't know. But so like, I don't know. And like, I'm sure I was probably like biased or something, but like, to me, it just like one of the things they were talking about in the jury instructions were like, you know, the case has to be proved beyond a reasonable doubt, which a reasonable doubt seems like a pretty low bar to clear. Like a reasonable person would think you did this or whatever. But then they say like a reasonable doubt is what leads one with an abiding conviction that it was true. And maybe abiding conviction is just big words. And it also like leaves the room for what's called imaginary doubt, because nothing is like, they even say it's like, because nothing is like, all circumstances in life have some amount of doubt or something like that. And I'm like, in terms of like abiding conviction, I really don't have an abiding conviction that this is definitely what happened. You know, like I have all sorts of doubts that I would call reasonable. Like now I don't know if those doubts count as imaginary doubts or whatever, but yeah. So ultimately, the court case didn't last that long, but there was a point in the court case where we were waiting to go in for the day, which the court only lasts like 2 hours, which is, I think I mentioned that before, like 2.5 hours every day. And it's like, wow, this definitely could go longer. I don't know. It would have like the court case would have happened a lot faster if we could spend, you know, more time per case. I don't know. But we were going in, before we were going in, the power went out in the federal building. And it was just really wild. Like the power went out, all the elevators stopped. Then like the backup power came on. So, you know, I'm going into like emergency problem solving mode, and I'm like walking around the elevator bank, putting my ear up to the elevator, trying to hear if like anyone's stuck on the elevator. And I do my walk around, and there is one elevator where there's voices inside that are clearly, the elevator is not moving, but they seem really close. And it turns out the elevator actually got to the floor. The door didn't open, but it got to the floor right as the power went out. So they were like right on the floor. And they like tried the emergency box to get a hold of the people and stuff. And ultimately they ended up like forcing the door open manually and getting out. But yeah, it was just like interesting. And then we were hanging out, and then like a police officer came and said like we weren't allowed to be in here anymore. It wasn't like safe. We had to leave the building. And then like we hung around for like an hour until they told us like, oh, court's not going to happen. And then they're like, don't come back tomorrow, come back the next day, which it was a whole thing. But ultimately, there was a couple charges that the jury felt that there didn't seem to be evidence of. There is one charge, the like possession of knife in public or whatever, that I would have voted no, but I just didn't want to like rock the boat or whatever, because like the way it was put, it seemed like if you're homeless and you own a knife, you're always just violating that law, which seems not like a good law. Like you're just not allowed to be homeless and own a knife, because like, oh, so if you have a home, then suddenly owning a knife is legal. But if you don't have a home, now you're breaking the law. That seems convenient. But on the charge of brandishing a knife, which brandishing a knife is like, I don't look up. They say you're not supposed to look this stuff up, but brandishing a knife is like holding a knife and like being angry or something like that. Everybody said he was guilty of that, but I I was like, I don't know. I don't have a reasonable doubt. So he basically was guilty of the knife in public, which is municipal code. I don't know if it's like how serious of it's not like California law or whatever. But and then he was not guilty. He was found not guilty of everything else except brandishing. I was the hung juror on that, and so that went to mistrial. So I guess they might retry that offense, but the rest of it is settled. So that was the court case. I don't know. Maybe I let a dangerous person back into society. I would like to think if he did do that, then maybe he'll think twice about doing it next time. I don't know, but he'll presume it unless they decide not to retry the brandishing charge. He'll go to trial again, and I guess someone else can fucking deal with it. But I don't know. That's my court story. Any major questions?
I mean, how was the experience for you? Is it something that you liked doing, or is it one of those never again, please, I hope I never get called again?
Well, I would like to be more financially stable to be able to take off that much time from work. My job, I think, does pay for jury duty, but I don't know. That was like my thinking, is that I was thinking that I might actually get paid more since we don't have that many hours. I might get paid more to not go to go to jury duty, which I haven't actually crunched the numbers. But they didn't get the jury duty payment on that paycheck. It got like pushed to the next paycheck, which sucked. But which I don't know if I've gotten yet. I don't think I've gotten that one. But like when I was in the jury selection room, obviously there's so many people trying to get out of it and like come up with like reasons why they're biased, and it seems like they're just making it up so they don't have to sit in jury duty. But even when you solve for that, like so many of the people just seem so fucking stupid. I think the people who were actually sat on the jury seemed pretty reasonable, but just all the people that were talking and answering questions from like the lawyers and stuff, like they just seem so stupid. Like, and in that moment I was like, well, I have to be on the jury. Like, we can't just have like tons of fucking idiots be like passing judgment on these people. And I would urge anyone listening to this to, if you can afford it, definitely. I thought it was really interesting. I mean, some of these cases can take so long. So that's, that can be a really big deal. But like, I think, the gears of justice definitely need like half reasonable people to be on juries, otherwise we're just left to mobs of idiots to determine whatever the cops, want to kill us with. But again, I think that the jury that I was on, like those people seemed pretty reasonable, and that was kind of nice. But who knows? There's some people that seem kind of out of it. I don't know. Whatever. But I thought it was really interesting. It made me, I don't know. Like, it's not like I'm going to become a lawyer or anything, but it made me like more interested in the legal system. I was like, oh, I wonder if I could like get a job at like a law office or something, just because it was really interesting and fascinating to see how it worked. It's also like, I don't know. It's very different from, I mean, obviously, it's very different from the way law is depicted on television. Just in a like, it's very, not like it's not exciting, but like there's not a lot of opportunity for like the lawyers to do very much, if that makes sense. Like you kind of are limited into what in what you can ask witnesses, and you can't like really, or at least the way it seemed is like you can't like take security footage or like a photo from a security camera and put it on a screen as the attorney and say, look at this. Now, does this make you wonder this? Because that's like objection narrative or objection speculation. All you can do is like ask questions to the witnesses regarding the evidence and hope they create that narrative for you. You can't like, presumably maybe before the case, like if you're talking to those people, you can like tell them that's the plan and hope they do it, but you can't really coach them into doing it. So like if you're trying to like create a narrative, that's like not allowed even. And like I think a lot of like what passes for like legal process in in dramas and stuff is like that kind of thing where they're trying to like build this narrative, and like you really can't do that. Like I think in closing arguments you can kind of do that, but I think they can even objection you there too. But also I was kind of surprised the judge seemed pretty casual too, and she was like, the judge was like, these people that like they enjoy their centering in, like, like fucking, like there's some sort of office party or something and the boss is like gets to make a speech, and then they're just eating it up. They're like, oh man, I can make like any jokes because I'm like the guy. The judge was kind of like that, where they're like, oh, I love that I can make terrible jokes to the jury, and the jury is all like, ha 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 ha, like they're holding court. I mean, they're literally holding court, Kevin. But that was kind of like interesting. I don't know that it was off-putting, but it was, yeah. So do your jury duty, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
I've gotten called for jury duty several times, and each time they've just, like, without giving a reason, just said, no, you can go home.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I just come across as crazy or too into it or what, but every single time I've been sent home.
That's interesting.
I have a couple times done work as an expert witness on technology patents when there's patent suits involved and stuff like that, and I hated doing that so much that I just
is that like depositions and stuff, or is that actually in the court?
It's actually in the court where you come in and basically say, I'm an expert in this field and I have experience in this matter that, I'm an impartial third party. Yes, one of the two sides is paying me to be here, but I have to be impartial. I have to say what I actually believe, that kind of thing. And I would basically testify as a witness to this, saying, well, my interpretation of this patent requires these three things here, and this code that the programming that the defendant did is not infringing on this, and here's my reasons why. Or, this isn't copyright infringement because the parts that they're showing that were copied don't actually constitute anything functional. They're just sort of like, how like on the first page of a book, it'll have sort of like the same, this bears no resemblance to any person living or dead. And it's kind of like boilerplate stuff. Programming has the same thing. And what a lot of times attorneys will do is they'll point to that like boilerplate language at the top of a file that's the same in every single file, no matter what, and say, look, they had to have copied it because it's identical, stuff like that. And it was just like, most of the time when cases get to the point that they're actually in a courtroom, everyone's already behaving childishly.
Right.
And no one is like, both sides feel like they're in the right and that it's okay to cheat or lie or bend the truth or whatever to get their way because the other side's doing it far worse. And they both honestly believe this. And I just stopped doing it because it wasn't, I wasn't enjoying it, and it was really boring. It was a case of just like, yeah, I just kept raising my price until no one called for me doing that anymore because I got tired. I would throw out a number of like, okay, fine, if you want to pay for me to take a vacation somewhere nice, or whatever, sure, but otherwise I'm never doing this again.
Yeah.
Because like even
That's
then
cool.
You can be scheduled to be testifying at a specific date and time, but if they haven't gotten to you yet by the time, they'll schedule that 2 weeks in advance. And you can be there on the date and time they told you, and then you'll find out the day that you get there, oh, this has dragged on longer than we thought. It could be today, it could be tomorrow, it could be the next day, so you have to hang out here and just wait. And
that's part of it too, which is like, it seems like the admin of the court could be better handled.
Yes. I felt for a long time jury duty would be better off if they just told you, hey, go online or go to the courthouse or however you want to do it. You have 12 months to pick a date that you're free and are willing to come in on. And if you have a really, really good reason why you shouldn't come in at all, you can on your own schedule come in and talk to somebody and say, hey, I'm disabled, or, I'm a small business owner and, literally cannot be away from my business for this long, or I just had a baby, or just, whatever reason that you want to give, you shouldn't have to like disrupt your schedule so much to come in on a specific date and time. That was always my problem with jury duty, was that when I got called for it 3 times, I think in 3 years back to back, I lived 90-minute drive from the courthouse. They wanted you there at some stupid time early in the morning. And it could not have been more disruptive, I don't think, had they tried, because I was supposed to be there at 7:30, 8 a.m. and they didn't even see us until 3 p.m., only to send most of us home. And it's just that's what puts people off doing it, is stuff like that, where it's like they don't respect. I understand the jurors are only a small piece of a court case, but they're the ones who were not wronged in any way. They're not a party to this. They're not, whatever.
Yeah, it's not their idea.
Better. Right.
Yeah.
They need to be treated better. And
I had a lot of tips to how to treat the jury better, if you'll recall.
Yes. So I feel like there needs to be some reform there, but it's just not on anyone's radar right now.
Yeah. Get some mixed drinks in there. Edward said something in the That Happens chat on my Patreon Discord. He talked about how a girl had to work or had to do jury duty and then she just didn't show up. It was like, so the jury has, you select the jury duty and then you select 2 alternates, which like the alternate sucks because you just have to sit there watching the whole court case and then you don't even get to weigh in. Like you just have to watch it, and then unless someone like calls out sick or something, you just don't get to do anything. Your time is wasted for fucking nothing. Like that's got to be a huge bummer. But it also seems like, they make it all so crazy. Like, oh, you have to have like a valid like excuse or petition to not like serve jury duty. But then when you're actually on the jury duty, you could just not show up, and then they'll I don't know, like when people were late, and people were very late, we would just wait for them to show up and the court wouldn't start until everybody showed up. And like, I think if someone just didn't straight up didn't show up one day, the court would just be adjourned for the day and we wouldn't, and then it's just, we just were there for no reason. And there was a lady who like on the second to last day or something, she was like, oh, I got to do something. And so then she just left and they had an alternate sit in her thing. So it's like, I feel like once you're on the jury duty, it's maybe even easier to just call out. Like they had a phone number in the courtroom and you could call like the court. They're like, oh, if you can't be here or if you're running late or something, just call the clerk at the courtroom and stuff. And it's like, you just call in and be like, hey, I can't make it. And then what? Then they just have to fucking. So like that seems like it's maybe even a better way to like avoid it than like, I don't know. It actually does seem pretty easy. Obviously, the easiest way is to be like, I'm sorry, I'm racist. There is a guy in the jury selection because the guy who is accused of the crime was homeless. There is a guy who was like, well, they were asking him questions about homeless people, and he was like, well, homeless people, they don't contribute anything to society. And then they got dismissed, and it's like, I wonder if he actually thought that, or he was just like thinking of the most, basic thing you could say that represents bias against homeless people. But I don't know. It's pretty easy to get out.
If you miss, like if you get called for jury duty and you get accepted and you're on a case and you miss a day, you're not punished, but you have to start all over again. Like as soon as you feel better, give us a call because you're starting over on a whole new trial then.
That's probably what happens. Yeah, I think that's what happens.
So you don't get in trouble for calling in sick, but that you're just adding to the time that you're going to spend there every time you do it then.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, what can you do? What else? Okay. Send me an email if you know what profession I should go into. Or if you know what job I should look for, or if you have a job for me, send me an email. thathappenspod@gmail.com. Our CFO reads every email. All right. Lawson writes, hi, Spencer. I just listened to the Jury Duty Halftime Show episode. You got some great ideas, except for the trap doors. I've seen enough of that on Beast Games, which I would love to hear your thoughts on if you watch the show. Have you watched that, Kevin? Beast Games? I didn't watch it.
No, I haven't.
I'm boycotting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess trapdoors are a serious liability. Someone else on Reddit was like, back in the day, If you lost a case, you would be dropped through a trapdoor. And it's like, okay, fucking Reddit, man. You have to go to the gallows. You're not on the gallows while they're fucking like giving you your court case. You have to lose the court case. You don't drop through, you know. But there's like, you could do that, where you drop through the trap door into the bottom floor, and then down there is the gallows, right? You know, you could do that. That would be okay. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. The Beast Games is one of the most dystopian things I've ever heard. That's also just like copying. Like, I feel like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like if I'm the fucking dude that made the Squid Games, I'd sue the shit out of Mr. Beast. You can't just do my idea, call it Beast Games, and fucking that's my IP. I came up with that, you know. Like I don't know that. I don't know. I don't know how that law works or whatever. But I would be pissed. Like even just on a, you know, like missing the point level. I'd be like, you can't fucking do that. Anyway, anyways, that episode made me sad because you talked about how Magic the Gathering's new set is the best-selling set it's been in its 32-year history. But all I can think about is how my favorite trading card game, MetaZoo, is dead in the water after just 2.5 years since its debut. So are there any tabletop games, video games, shows, or Kickstarter projects you're sad to see fizzle out of existence? What about you, Kevin? Let's see, anything that fizzled out of existence that I'm sad about. I guess Mega Man. Mega Man is like completely dead as a franchise. I love Mega Man. They never sold very well. Mega Man's like a thing that's like the IP is really popular. The brand is really popular. The name recognition of Mega Man, maybe not these days, but for a long time it was really high, but the game sales were just horse shit. So, you know, they haven't really made any since Mega Man 11. And Mega Man 11 was one of the highest selling games they've ever made. But you know, Capcom makes way higher selling games than Mega Man, so that's kind of in jail. But that sucks. What about you? Is there anything that you're sad to have seen fizzled out?
I mean, broadly, I'm sad that arcades are really no longer a thing. I mean, I know there are still arcades out there right now, but it's not for, you know, like pro players kind of thing. It's like most arcades these days are split between kids' machines that give out tickets or tokens or credits or whatever to let you buy a stuffed animal at the end, or 40-year-old games that have been there forever. And there's not much in between the two. You know, it's not like, you know, you and me would meet up at an arcade to play some hot new game. You know, we could go there to kill time, but it's not like something that we're going to plan a schedule around. It's not like it's something that, you know, we're anxiously awaiting the new thing. And I understand why it's happened. I'm not saying that I don't get why they're no longer a thing. It's just I miss that kind of like place where people could go to show off what they could do in a game, or together two strangers play a new game together for the first time and stuff like that. It's a lot of interactions like that they just never got replaced. So I miss that.
You forgot the third kind of game at arcades, which is Giant Fruit Ninja, or like Giant Bejeweled, which is like, oh, great. This is what arcades were meant to be.
Yes. Or like the Space Invaders that's the size of a wall, you know, or stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know why giant versions of old games have suddenly become popular, but be sure.
I mean, giant multiplayer Pac-Man is one I've seen. That's not that bad, I guess, but
that one's fun, but I don't see anyone playing it for more than 15 minutes at a time. You know, it's not like you're gonna like, okay, let's go to the arcade and play the giant Pac-Man.
Apple says that Mega Man needs a gritty, hardcore reboot. Which I think they should reboot Mega Man as just a Dark Souls game. Like they should sell it to FromSoft and have FromSoft make a Dark Souls game where you're just Mega Man, and is otherwise basically just a Mega Man game. Because I think Dark Souls and Mega Man have a lot in common, in like how they're to be enjoyed, how they like affect places. Apparently there's an arcade game called Killer Queen that's hot right now. Oh yeah, I've heard about that. There's an arcade that I just saw recently at in like Glendale. It's near where the what are they called? What's Aaron Hansen? Aaron Hansen, he does
Was it
Game
Grumps?
Dudes, Game Grumps,
Game Grumps, yes.
Dudes. God damn it! Their office used to be in the same building that this arcade is in. But yeah, what's our time at? 2 minutes. Great, Kevin. This is just great. Oh no, this email's so long. We could go a bit over, right? No one does.
Yes.
Speaking of which, I think we kind of got to. We were talking about. I had a question that I didn't get out, but I was talking about how like the podcast feels like so out of steam compared to where it was. Do you feel like that about like Schraub Home Video? Do you feel like, oh, it used to like be such this like big bustling, kind of thing, and now like a lot of the main like creators have like left? Like, how do you feel about like how Schraub Home Video is now?
I mean, it definitely comes and goes in waves, where we get periods where I think we're in right now where there's not a lot of new content, because this is all, nobody's really making money off any of this. People are just making content as they want to. So it does come and go. And right now, I think we don't have a ton of new content right now. But there are still, many, many people tuning in every week regardless and enjoying it. So as long as the people keep showing up, I'm going to keep doing it. But I think you're right that, the feel of it has changed a bit since it first started. But I don't know that I can put my finger on exactly like what the shift was or why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had Mary Houlihan on. She does a Twitch stream. I wonder if we can the thing is like this stream is not compatible with like Twitch, but like her Twitch streams don't get a ton of traffic or whatever. I mean, they get a good number. It's not like anything. It's way more than I get for my Twitch streams or something. But it's like, I wonder if we could but you'd want to route it to her Twitch. You wouldn't want it just like our eyeballs are seeing a mirror of Twitch, right? That's not super useful for her. But I don't know. I want to reinvigorate Schraub Home Video. I want to get more people making more new shows onto it. But again, I don't really have a lot of connections to people. And people have kind of reasons to route through platforms that aren't Schraub Home Video. I wonder if there's I don't know. I wonder how to, other than the audience who is penned into this one website or whatever. I wonder how to offer value to creators. I don't know. We were thinking about with Aaron Pierce and Sevon and stuff. We were thinking about trying to do a magic show, Magic the Gathering, kind of content, and that's a similar thing where it's we'd want to be on here, but also I feel there's direct monetization if we did it on Twitch, or something. So it's I want to figure that out because I love Schraub Home Video as an idea, and I want to help or invest in it. I want it to, I want to make Schraub Home Video great again, I guess. But I don't really know how to do anything. I can't even get a fucking job. I don't know, Kevin. Neek wrote us an email. How late can we go? Because this is a long email. Maybe we should just save it.
It's totally up to you.
It's totally up to me, is it? I'm sorry, Pink Satin. We love Pink Satin, folks. Folks, we love Pink Satin, don't we? Folks.
Yes. And I want to be very clear that my comments in the earlier episode were not in any way negative towards Pink Satin, who comments on nearly every one of our episodes.
And I'm sure mine were, but I didn't mean it that way. I meant it in a cool, funny way. I'm grasping for straws up here, and but we love Pink Satin. Anyway, Neek writes, Dear Spencer and Kevin, I've really been enjoying the anime episodes as a way to engage with Neon Genesis a little bit more, and the podcast motivated me to watch all of it a second time. Thank you. If you're interested, I'd like to add a layer of interpretation by talking about the influence of the show, influence on the show of the 19th century Danish Christian existentialist Søren Kierkegaard. It's unclear how much Anno or other writers have actually engaged with his work, but the 16th episode title is the title of one of his books, The Sickness Unto Death. In this book, Kierkegaard talks about the 3 stages of despair. Despair is the sickness unto death, a quote that Kierkegaard takes from the passage of the Bible where Lazarus is resurrected by Jesus, and is quoted as saying, the sickness is not unto death. Kierkegaard's point is that even if he wouldn't be resurrected, this still would be true, because in the Christian Western view, death is not the end. As a consequence, the only sickness unto death is a spiritual sickness, a spiritual death, which is despair. All the stages of despair have to do with denying the self and running away from the burdens that being a person in the world entail. Such burdens include the realization of mortality and the existence of material limits to the self, the power to choose and to be responsible for one's own actions, and most of all, the ability to actualize your potential. In a word, despair is what is standing away and in the way of achieving self-love, which Kierkegaard sees in a religious way. To realize one was created with love is made of love, in a sense. In the first stage of despair, one is unaware of having a self. You are in the world and acting in it, but not conscious about death or responsibility. This is the stage Kierkegaard associates with animals and children. As a consequence, the second stage could be seen as natural to the stage just after being a child, starting to realize that you exist and what it means as the 14-year-old characters of the show are realizing. The second stage in particular seems to be applicable to NGE, Neon Genesis. In the stage of despair, there's an awareness of the world, but life is lived in such a way to avoid the pain of this realization. Probably the majority of the runtime of the entire show, Shinji's faced with the responsibility of his own possibilities and his power to choose among them. The possibility of realizing his unique potential. Instead, he repeatedly chooses to either completely run away from these or arrange his life in such a way that he doesn't have to choose. This is also what he does when he says that he pilots the Eva to get his father's approval, or because others want him to. In the movies, more explicitly so than the show, Shinji's arc is finally to grow into accepting his unique place in the world, to overcome despair, and to choose hope and love. When he does so, he actualizes an almost divine power. Gendo and the AT fields are also interesting from this perspective. The AT fields seem to be two things: the thing that keeps us individual selves rather than blended together, and the walls that we create between each other. Many characters in the show have faced some trauma that led them to split the self off into two areas. One is acceptable and survivable to see as oneself, and one that is pain pushed away and denied. One way to read the AT field is that people are always concerned with presenting parts of themselves as themselves while denying other parts, to ourselves as well as others, that are painful to face. Kierkegaard would say that this push and pull between striving to be something greater while something finite is part of what makes us human, and we need to accept that. I think one of the Rebuild movies mentioned something very much like this. Now, Gendo's plan, the way I make sense of it, is rather than accept all the parts of ourselves in our lives with finitude, is to abolish those parts we don't want to have. In this way, we melt away the wall of the AT field and become something different. This is similar to the third and last, Kierkegaard says, demonic stage of despair, where you realize that you have a self, but do not accept self-love. It is interesting that Gendo wants to transcend humanity and become angels or gods, while Kierkegaard says that all we should do as humans is realize we are not gods, and everything else is a denial of self or despair. Hope this gives some fresh perspective into your experience of the show. Your takes certainly have for me. And also, I would love it if you do Berserk next, the only other anime that had a similar impact on me personally. Kind regards. Keep doing the show, please. It's good and you're good at doing it. Neek. Reading this, you gotta imagine that he was exploring these exact topics intentionally from Kierkegaard. I think the idea that it just has this much overlap without intention is really hard to believe. It does seem that the show is very much dealing with these exact issues. The guy talks about how he thinks the movie goes into this really deeply, but I would say the last two episodes of Eva are exactly this process. The start, the second stage and the third stage and the ultimate actualization. It seems like that's what we're witnessing happening in real time. So thank you so much. I don't really have much more to add to that. Do you, Kevin?
I'm a newcomer to all of this. That all sounded completely on point, but I would really need to kind of go away and think about this for a little bit. But I think, that's definitely onto something there.
Yeah. You can send us an email, thathappenspod@gmail.com. Let me know what jobs I should get. Give me a job. Let me know what you'd like to see in the 200th episode. Send us your thoughts on the show as it's getting to 200 episodes. We like to end the show the same way we do as we do every week. So until next time, get to the end of the episode. Get to the end of it. Goodbye.